Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to get yourself into PC gaming, then you are in the right place, because throughout this video, we're going to go through the very best PC builds that you can build right now and hopefully save yourself a whole bunch of money, as it is currently Black Friday. Throughout this video, we're going to go through the very best budget, mid-range, and of course, luxury behemoth rigs, so it doesn't matter how much you want to spend, you can be sure that you're going to get a good deal. It is going to be a really exciting video, and I can't wait to get started. All we need to do is say a massive thank you to this video sponsor. MSI's Black Friday deals are here, and now is the time to save big on PC gaming goodies. There's loads of deals at your favourite stores, with huge savings on award-winning QD OLED monitors, Intel and AMD motherboards, cases, and all-in-one liquid coolers. Not only that, but these deals stack with existing offers, including up to £100 of Steam Wallet credit whenever you buy a qualifying MSI product. Save big today with MSI, just hit that link down below. Welcome back then, let's get started. And I think the best place to start is over in the States at Newegg, but as always, our affiliate links will be global, so it doesn't matter where you are, don't worry about current pricing, you can find that listed down below, whether that's in euros, pounds, dollars, whatever, find it linked down below. And we're going to start off by looking at our individual components, and I actually want to start off by looking at our graphics cards. And actually I think this is probably the hardest component to buy, or at least it's the hardest price point when it comes to GPUs, because your options are kind of all a little bit compromised. So I think the fan favorite is going to be from Intel, actually. It's the Arc B580. It is a very good and very capable graphics card, and when it works incredibly well. There are still a few weird bugs here and there, but generally speaking, most of these compared to the previous generation have gone. The main advantage is that it has 12 gigabytes of VRAM, which is very future-proof really for a card like this. It means that if you do want to play AAA titles, you want the textures turned up, you want to play games that just basically need more than 8 gig of VRAM, then obviously you're covered. But then in terms of raw horsepower, you'll find that the competition from AMD and Nvidia might actually just have a little bit more horsepower in the games you potentially care about more, so mainly the multiplayer games. So you're in a way kind of choosing between a card that's better for single player or a card that's better for multiplayer. You can step it down slightly and get a B570. Oh, look at that, there it is, $199. So this is probably going to be our best value option. We'll then have a look how much a 5050 is. See, again, not too bad actually, $230. 5060s are way more money actually. So finally, what about a 9060 XT? $250. Now that is only for the 8GB version, but obviously it's considerably cheaper than the 16. Now the 16 definitely is going to be faster on a fair few titles, despite the fact that it's only really the VRAM that's changed. But once again, it purely depends on the games that you're going to be playing and the settings that you're going to be using it. If you want to save basically a third more or less and save yourself $100, then as long as you're aware of the compromises, it may well be worth doing so. So I think it's fair to say that you've definitely got quite a few options, but we'll also add as well, and this is not sponsored in any way, but if you did go for a B570 and you wanted Battlefield 6 anyway, then you do actually get a game code, or you can pick from 4 different games. So if you're going to buy it anyway, then basically you're getting that GPU for like 140 net, which is obviously very, very good. I think we're going to go with the B570 though. But obviously to pair with this, we are going to need a budget-friendly CPU. And it's very, very interesting because Intel have also got very aggressive with some of their CPUs. Now, to be clear, Ultra 9, I can't see really any reasons to pay anything close to the like 450, 480 pounds or dollars that they're charging for that.
Despite the fact that, ironically, that's actually in the PC that I've got here, because I'm kind of in between computers at the moment.
It's just not worth it.
However, having said that, if you're looking at something higher end and you want to do productivity and gaming, then the Ultra 7 is definitely worth considering. Or if you're going to be looking at Ultra 5s, then the one I've kind of got my eyes on at the moment is this one, which is the 225F, which is kind of like the spiritual successor to the 14400F, which is definitely going to make sense. But then you do also have to bear in mind that if you go for a Core Ultra CPU, basically your socket's not really going to allow many upgrades. So you could obviously put in an Ultra 7 or potentially an Ultra 9 at a later date, but it's not ever going to be like a fundamental new architecture or anything. They're going to do a refresh and that will be about it. But let's have a look what AMD have, shall we? And I think the main one really that you'd be targeting is one of these, which is a Ryzen 5 7500F. You can get this for around about $150 or so. And obviously the main advantage, once again, is not only that you're getting great... My voice just died. It's going to be great that you're getting fantastic performance today, but again, you can upgrade it. And for me, that is actually worth quite a lot of money rather than potentially being stuck with something that you don't want. Now, this is only a 6-core CPU, whereas if you go for the 225F, then that is a 10, but that is a mixture of 6 performance and 4 efficiency. I mean, has anyone actually compared these? Yes. I'm amazed that there's always someone that's done it. But taking this at face value, look, you can see that actually the Intel one is slightly faster here. So I think then really, it probably comes down to motherboards more than anything else. So if we have a look at our B650 series, there are some deals for around about 110. Or over on the Intel side of things, is there really much here? No, they seem to be more expensive. So let's add our 7500F to the basket alongside our ASRock AMD motherboard. Then I want to have a look at the cases before we forget that we need micro ATX. If you want to go for something luxurious, you can get this 2500D, but we're looking at something a bit cheaper. So the Air 100 is probably a good shout. There's a Rosewell one here that actually comes with a power supply, gold rated. Ah, but yes, our good old favorite classic. It's absolutely fine. It's no better than that. It is the Q300L V2, and I'm going to show some footage of the recent build that we did. So if you want to see exactly what this is like and what you can build with it, then you can find this in the top right corner of your screen. It's pretty good for the money, but a $75 or pound case, it is not.
Wait, 75 pounds? That's very heavy, man.
Obviously, we are going to need to grab a CPU cooler for this rig, as you don't get one with the processor, so $17.99 for a 212. Pretty outrageous. This is obviously not going to be the absolute best, but should be more than sufficient for what we need. Then let's press on and do the horrible bit, which is going to be our memory. Blimey. Oh, there it is. Look at that, look. Black Friday deal. Wow, $210 for your memory. I mean, let's at least push the boat out and get it with RGB. This is the best we can find at the moment, but obviously do some shopping around, and by all means, you could get all the bits that you need and potentially wait a little bit and get your RAM later. Maybe borrow a stick of RAM off of a friend. If they've got quad channel, they won't know. Just take a couple out. They won't notice. Hopefully we're not going to see the same issues with SSDs though. Let's go for 1 terabyte. We filter this to really fast. Then it looks like this one from KingSpec is pretty much our only option within budget. XG7000 for $80. There is just one more component to go, and this is of course going to be the power supply, and these do seem to be a little bit cheaper, which is good. I mean, if you want to go for an 850 watt supply, you can get it for $90. That's pretty good for Corsair, but we only need a 650. There's one from ASRock that's $60, isn't too bad. These ones are very cheap. I'm not personally sure about those. Oh, so actually, I'd probably go for this one. It's from Be Quiet, actually. Pure Power 12 650. It's non-modular, so all of the cables are going to have to float about in your case. But let's add this one to the basket. And then we can reveal that the grand total is just under $900 at $889. So if it wasn't for the RAM, I'd say that actually that's pretty good value. I mean, an extra $15, $20 on the SSD is annoying, but obviously not exactly problematic. Whereas, yeah, all the time that the RAM is double the price, then just you've got to be aware that you're overpaying for the RAM essentially. But I think when you scroll down here, you are definitely, especially on the graphics card, you are saving a lot of that money in other places. It's annoying that obviously you're not able to kind of pocket the savings nets if you include the RAM, but you are getting the game code, I suppose, with the GPU as well. So there's definitely a lot to think about. If you need a gaming PC right now, then I think this is going to be a great budget option. The B570 does have a lot of performance, and obviously if you go down this route, you can upgrade it over the years as well. But ladies and gentlemen, let's now move on to our mid-range PC, which of course as always means coming over to the UK. And again, if you're just watching this, don't worry, we have our global links down below. If you want to pay in dollars, get it in the States, that's fine too. But let's show the UK some love. So let's start with our GPUs. And I say that this is mid-range. Obviously that means different things to different people. I think typically I would say that means a PC that can pretty much do anything really. So if that's 4K gaming at kind of like 60 to 100 frames a second, great. If that's 1440p at 150, 200, fantastic. It's entirely up to you, and I just want that flexibility. And pretty much the best cards to do this, as long as you are willing to use FSR or XeSS, are going to be kind of around the 5070 or the 9070 XT kind of range really. We can use my favorite friend, price low to high, to find out that actually there are some very good deals at the moment. So £560 for a 9070 XT. This is basically what it should have been from the start. This is all the GPU most people is ever really going to need until obviously the game's gonna outgrow the GPUs. But I mean, in terms of performance today, these things are fantastic, and they do come with 16 gigabytes of VRAM as well. So very interested in those. Are the 9070s really any cheaper? Not massively, so this is definitely the point where it's gonna be worth spending the extra and getting the XT. But if you wanted to go for NVIDIA on the 5070, but then you definitely do have to bear in mind that on the 5070, you're only getting 12 gigabytes of VRAM. Oh, and look at that. That is not a bad deal, is it? £459 for a 5070. If you do want a proper mid-range PC, I think this has got to be one of the best picks. We open up our 5070 Ti, I imagine this is going to be quite a lot more expensive. Yeah, it's a massive jump up. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's obviously a lot more performance as well, But when you can get the 9070 XT for basically £100 or more than £100 less, I think that is going to be the way to go. Once again, if you do want to see a video comparing the performance, like in different games side by side, you can find that video in the top right corner of your screen. But we're going to add this to the basket because I want something that can pretty much do it all. Now, as far as CPUs are concerned, I will say that I've seen the Ultra 7 for around about £225 on Black Friday, which is insane. And obviously, if you want a PC now that can do loads of stuff, so not just gaming, but work as well, especially if you're going to be like gamer by night, work by day, I think the Ultra 7 is one of the best chips all round at its current price point. As we know, at launch, it
wasn't exactly the best,
but it's improved slightly, but it's mainly the price that's come down that has made this a little bit more, just a decent option, to be honest with you. But for me, it still does have that fundamental issue of upgradability with that socket. And obviously at this kind of level, personally, I'd just rather go for a Ryzen CPU and get an X3D, I think, just to unlock the most today, as well as give yourselves the upgrade room in the future. So I want to see if we can get a deal on a 7800 X3D. Yes, we can. So this is going to give you more performance and it's considerably cheaper than the 9800 X3D, despite the fact that there's not a crazy amount of real world difference. So we're going to go with this. I mean, how much is a 9800 X3D? About £50 more. Let's go right ahead though and find ourselves a B850 motherboard for this chip. And you can see that they are, again, a fair bit cheaper than the Intel counterparts, which definitely does come into it as well. If you want to save yourself as much money as possible, then something like this, which is the Gaming Plus from MSI, doesn't have too much on it, and it does look a little bit like a hospital logo on that, but it is going to save yourself money in the long run. So let's go with this. Oh, and then look at that. It's suggesting us a case straight off the bat. £60 for a LAN-Cool 215. It's not going to be Lee & Lee's absolute best case, but you've even got cable management grommets, but I assure you at this price is actually a rarity. You've got nice big fans on the front, you've got RGB as standard, and obviously it is white, so it's now going to go with our motherboard. Because we're using this with a 7800 X3D, we don't actually need anything particularly crazy when it comes to kind of gaming temperatures on the CPU side, so we're going to go with my favorite, which is an Arctic Freezer 36. Are there any good deals on SSDs? Well, once again, it does look like they have gone up a little bit in recent times. You can get a Kingston NV3, which is our cheapest option, or a Crucial P310, or I'd probably look for this one actually, which is the Renegade. Oh no, and then comes the bit again. It's RAM. I mean, is it cheaper to buy an actual RAM than 64 gig of RAM? Is getting white memory going to be difficult? No, actually. It seems like it's slightly better in the UK, actually. It is only C36, but realistically, in terms of the difference you're going to see, not much. Which I think then just leaves the power supply. 850 gold from ASRock, or from Gigabyte, or yeah, just this, to be honest with you. Use it loads of times on the channel, never had any issues with it. RM850E, and it's on sale for around about £95 or so. Boom, so that is added to the basket. Whoa! Sidebar, they've got a Fantex NV5 for like 70 quid. That is a deal, that's my favorite case. Look, you can see the B-roll, it's coming up on screen now. 70 quid for that. That's a steal. Anyway, that's also an aside because I think we've got everything, all 8 components, and this comes to £1,521. So the offset here is the fact that despite the fact that you're paying about £80 more for that memory, the graphics card is way cheaper than that was when that was really inflated. Obviously, you're saving money on the CPU, 355 for arguably one of the best CPUs that you can get. Saving a whole bunch of money on the case, the motherboard, and then the power supply as well. So actually, I think we can definitely take the hit. This is actually a much better purchase than the budget rig, because the budget rig is obviously hit so hard by the fact that the memory's so inflated, especially in the States. Whereas yeah, this, I'm really happy with that. And the benchmarks that we got from that 9070 XT is astounding, especially bear in mind as well that the FSR 4 is so much better than the prior versions of FSR. It's so close to DLSS. It's really, really exciting. Okay, the frame generation isn't as good, but I never use that anyway. But right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment that you guys have been waiting for, the behemoth rig, the do-it-all machine, and we're gonna be going with an RTX 5090 here because it's obviously the best of the best, but it is so expensive, and I think in terms of real-world performance, for what most people are gonna notice, a 5080 will be basically the same. I mean, obviously there's actually quite a big difference in terms of performance. You're paying a lot more, you're getting a lot more, but only go for the 5090 if you either need more VRAM, which most people probably don't. If you have like a 500 Hz display and you've got the CPU to back it up, and obviously you're just trying to pump out as many FPS as possible, or if you really love ray tracing and AAA games and you want to use NVIDIA path tracing, this is kind of when the 5090, especially if you're playing at 4K, really does become, I don't want to say a necessity, but it's certainly getting close to it. Whereas for most people, if you're playing even at 4K on like a 200 Hz monitor or 1440p at 240, something like that, 5080 should be more than good enough. So yes, that was a little bit of a mouthful, wasn't it? Let's have a look what we can actually get. And obviously there are pre-builds as well that you could potentially go for that might actually work out cheaper, especially with RAM. But how much is the cheapest 5090 going to be? Refurbished, $2,600. That's crazy money. So actually, yes, the one you want is the liquid cooled one. This is the best value. I mean, it's a Black Friday deal, and relatively speaking it is, but
Crazy money, crazy money.
then we can go ahead and find a matching motherboard for it. And actually, this is probably the one I would have gone for anyway. X870, not X870E, has a little bit more bandwidth than B850, but you're not paying crazy money for it. And Asus tough boards, I really like. They're good for a little bit of overclocking, good VRMs, heat sinks for the SSDs and things. Then we want to go for a 9800X3D or a 9950X3D, just to make sure we get the best possible frame rate. There is absolutely no point going for a 5090 and going for an Ultra 9. Don't do it. Again, even though technically that's what's in this rig.
But let me explain. Hang on.
I'm in between computers. This is my old one. It's very old. And because I'm always busy and building other computers, that one's been on my desk way too long. So I got the Ultra 9 rig with the 5090 that we built, and it's sat there, so I'm actively using a better computer than that. This is obviously still a ridiculously powerful computer. My point is, if you're gonna spend this level of money, please make sure you get a CPU that can keep up with it when it comes to gaming frame rates. Hope that makes sense.
Why did you build this in the first place?
Well, we needed a test to see how Core Ultra 9 performed with a 5090, or we couldn't talk about it scientifically. Anyway, back to the video. So a 9800X3D is $480, whereas a 9950 is $700, which I don't actually think is worth it. Also, just from a noise point of view, because even though you have double the cores, it basically shuts 8 of them off and then becomes a 9800X3D anyway, but will use slightly more power. So for most people, go with a 9800. In terms of cooling, I really like the look of these though, which are new from NZXT, and it's actually in the Black Friday deal. Do they have a 360? Yes, they do. And you've got this lovely, gorgeous display on it as well. It looks awesome. Oh, and they do have some combos with some of their cases actually. I think this is an H6. Oh no, that's the H9. Okay, let's stick with the NV5 then. I'm gonna add all of the extra fans that we need, which is actually just 2 singles and then one of these F360 all-in-one fan units things. They're quite cool actually, I like them. And then let's have a look at RAM. If we want something really high-end, we could get some non-RGB, look. You could get 2 sticks of this, look, for $200. That's the best way of going. As for our solid-state storage, we could go for PCI Generation 5, but I really don't think that is going to be worth it, so instead we go for my favorite Gen 4 drive, which is a 990 Pro. This is a 2TB version. Obviously, if you're spending this much money, you do want to make sure you have plenty of capacity, but I think for most people, terabyte is absolutely fine, especially if you have quick internet and you can just delete games and re-download them. And then, of course, last, but certainly not least, we are going to need a power supply, and we want 1000 watts. So if you wanted to go for the cheapest one, RM1000E, $150 basically. Oh, there's one from MSI actually, look. $140, so that's a little bit cheaper actually. Oh, wow. Why is this so cheap? A1000GS, gold rated, fully modular, 1000 watts, $110. Boom. Okay, that should finish us off then, but that does come in at $4,477.
So it's a bargain.
But when you think 2,800 of that is a graphics card, you can see why you could save quite a lot of money by speccing it down. I mean, as we said, that 9070 XT from AMD, I'm not gonna say it's the same performance, it's absolutely not, but in terms of like what you're actually going to experience and what you're going to be able to utilize, the law of diminishing returns massively comes in. But if you want to spend that money, then obviously I think what we've got here is an absolutely fantastic rig. It's my favorite case, it's the fastest graphics card, it's the best gaming CPU, it's pretty much the best of everything really. Oh no, actually, only thing is that we need to mount this radiator, don't we, for the graphics card. So you can still fit that in this case, you just might not be able to swap the fans. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this. What do you make of these rigs? Do you think a rig like this could ever be worth it? Or have you already added everything to your basket? We'd love to hear from you. Smash the like button if you've enjoyed this. Get yourself subscribed. And again, if you do want to check out current pricing on anything and regional pricing, as well as a load more deals, are listed down below.
And while you're down there, why not save big with MSI's Black Friday deals? With offers ending on December 2nd, you've got to be quick. There's huge savings on monitors, including QD OLED, as well as deals on cases, coolers, motherboards, and more. Not to mention that these stack with existing offers with up to £100 of Steam Wallet credit whenever you buy a qualifying component. Get your deal of the day today with MSI, linked down below.
But thank you guys so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.